first day we ever said I love you, we were on the Western Lake.
We fell in love right there on the Western Lake.
Yeah,
that's right.
Right here in Grayton Beach.
We came here for a like a long weekend getaway, and you know, it was not only did we fall in love, we fell in love with this area, and we fell in love with Grayton Beach specifically.
I just remember leaving here and feeling like this was a place that wasn't touched as much as the rest of the world.
There's something very special about this place. Something almost sacred. And whatever it is, it's been drawing people to Grayton Beach since the late 1800s, when this tiny grain of a beach town first washed ashore.
Grayton is the apple of my eye, always has been, always will be. The day school was out, we all piled in the car and came to Grayton Beach. And I have literally ridden a horse, not all at one time, from Destin to Inlet Beach. And the only thing you ever saw on the beach was cow dung and sea oats. You never saw a structure, you never saw a human being. The waters would be flat, slick, calm, and the cows would wade out into the water so their stomachs would be wet to keep themselves cool. And I can't tell you how many times I had to tether my horse and get out and go out in the water and get the cows back up where we could drive them where we wanted to go. But it was magic. Everything you did was magic.
A lot of it's the history. It is one of the oldest community on the beach down here. Along 38, it was the start of everything. It would have turned out a lot different if it would have started somewhere else, that's for sure.
And I think people come here and they're kind of blown away that there's still a intact community. And families like Kelly's family, like Mr. Patterson's family, they go back generations. That just houses are handed down from generation to generation. And in each one of these generations just respect what this community is about. And again, it's not just the buildings, it's really the people that make it as cool as it is. I kind of describe it as the last great Florida beach town. It's got everything going its way. You've got a state park that surrounds it on three sides. You've got the Gulf of Mexico to the south. You have still a pretty intact community that's well over 100 years old. And it's a place that's got history. And even though Florida, has got, I think St. Augustine's the oldest city in the nation, Florida is losing its history in so many places. And this place still has that unique fabric and unique feel about it. And I think it's because of that. It's how I would describe it, is just the real deal, the real Florida.
And part of what makes Grayton so special is that it's always been a little more private and a little more subdued than some of the surrounding areas.
I grew up when there was really nothing to do down here except stand out in that street right there and go to the beach. This was the only place that was open. There were no grocery stores, there were no movie theaters, there were no bars, there was nothing but basically this and a few other little places like this.
These people didn't have the Publix or the Winn-Dixies. You know, if they had something, they either grew it or killed it or made it. You have to remember how remote this place was. I mean, this place was, I can't describe how remote it was, but before the Destin Bridge, you couldn't get here.
Nobody else was coming into Grayton. It was still the old rags to riches, and Grayton was rags, and the riches weren't here yet. It was a lot of fun. I remember cleaning fish on the bar at Grayton Corner Cafe, so they'd have fish for the evening dinner rush. So fishing off Grayton's very different. We launched the boats right off the beach into the surf. As far as I know, it's the last place in the continental United States where it's done. They do it in Australia, New Zealand, a few places in the Bahamas. They do it in Alaska with tractors and bulldozers in a few places. But we back the boat straight down the sand into the Gulf. So we're in the Gulf immediately. We're not having to idle out a harbor, run out a pass. We can be fishing literally within 5 minutes of stepping on the boat a lot of days. It's a experience that most people don't ever get to have.
It's beautiful.
I think once we start explaining and painting that picture of Grayton Beach to people, they instantly can kind of put themselves there, because you can talk about the cars on the beach, you know, this coastal dune lake that you can put your paddleboard in and literally ride into the ocean, and start kind of explaining this, and people just instantly want to be here, and when they get here, they get it, you know, they get it when they get here.
Yeah.
It's just everybody wants to come to Grayton Beach. I mean, I have friends from Birmingham that's bought places in Grayton Beach. They didn't want any place except in Grayton Beach. So it's just got that feel to it, you know, that uniqueness that people love. Most of the people that grew up around here, a lot of them live down here now. It's always been a special place. It's grown up way more than we ever thought it would be.
Most of us looked at Grayton as our sanctuary, and we didn't look too favorably on new people coming in, outsiders, you know.
But when I was a teenager, and really a preteen, the store was the place to go. I mean, you went every single night. The store, which is now currently the Red Bar, but it was a hangout. It wasn't just for Grayton people. I mean, everyone would come from Freeport, from Blue Mountain, from Seagrove, every night, all night, until probably 10 or 11 at night. And they had, the inside was very similar to what it looks like today, except of course it was covered in graffiti, because that's the way it was decorated. And in the corner, where there's now a corner booth, there was a jukebox. The jukebox, Mr. Butler, I guess at one point decided he wasn't going to pay for a change of songs. So the songs stayed for 10 years, the same songs. And so we would dance every single night to Proud Mary and One is the Loneliest Number and Crystal Blue Persuasion, and all these kind of old-timey songs that we loved.
But preserving Grayton Beach's authenticity certainly didn't happen by accident. In fact, it often required bold actions taken by even bolder locals.
Nobody knew what was going on, and except one day a bulldozer shows up, and my mother and another woman, Biba Bird, saw what was happening, and they said, well, we're just gonna have to lie down in front of this bulldozer so they will stop. They will not run over us. And that kind of got everyone's attention.
And I only wish that everybody who got a permit to drive on that beach knew the story, because it took one woman and her courage to save that beach. And it really resonates with me that any one person can do something if you set your mind to it. And damn, her mind was on it.
Yeah,
and,
she was tenacious.
She was unbelievable and tenacious.
We need the tourist dollar to maintain all of this. And so we have to make sure that that beach stays as pristine as we possibly can make it. Treat it like it was your own backyard. You know, don't trash it up. Respect people that are down there. You know, this is still considered a locals beach.
And what they need to do is to understand that this place is almost ethereal, that it's sacred.
Not only the amazing beach, but there's
Very natural place.
Amazing place to watch birds, to get out there, get active on the trails, get out on the lake. There's just so much to do. You just got to come see it. You got to check it out. You got to come experience it. And I think everybody can, when you come to Grayton Beach, I think you just feel like yourself. It does feel like home. You don't have to try it. I think it is what it is here, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, change is here, and a lot's happened in the last 40 years, and probably a lot more will happen in the future. We're just hoping that as a community we're setting a good example so that others who are going to take, as we pass on, will be able to take and take the baton and move further down the road with it. But it's worth protecting, it's worth knowing about, and I think we've got an awesome community that's behind it.
Yeah, there's just a spirit about Grayton that just inspires you to get out and do something, and if it's raining, to go inside and create something. I hope that we're able to keep things unchanged to an extent, But with those changes, allowing, you know, these locals and these meeting of the minds to help, you know, develop it into something that feels unchanged.
And they have to understand that what's here, God put here for the stewardship of the people that are here to use and to preserve and to appreciate it, like those of us that came before them.
If I had to describe Grayton Beach in 2 words, it would be funky and organic.
The soul of 30A is Grayton Beach.
Unique and life-changing.
2 words to describe Grayton Beach are beautiful and friendly.
Truth be told, there probably aren't enough words in the dictionary to adequately describe the magic of Grayton Beach. One thing is certain, though, we all owe such a deep debt of gratitude to those pioneering souls who arrived before us. Settlers who not only appreciated this very special place for what it is, but for those who had the foresight, the fortitude, and the fight to help keep Grayton Beach a special place for generations to come.
It was the most pristine, beautiful place you've ever laid your eyes on, and as a young kid, I understood that. I don't know how, and I can't tell you how, but one of the things that once we started driving our car on Highway 98 from Pensacola to here, my mother would always stop the car, I mean literally stop the car at the top of the Destin Bridge. And she'd say, I want you to look at that because there's nothing like it anyplace else in the world. And you know what? I've been all over the world and I've never found anything like it. It is truly, truly God's gift.